My name is Susie Orbach. I'm a psychoanalyst, a psychotherapist, and a writer. Welcome to my ex. As a psychotherapist, I have noticed an increase in what I would call body distress or troubled bodies. When I started to practice, people with body difficulties came in and talked about them and said, I have an eating problem, I throw up all the time, or I can't eat, or I'm eating too much. Nowadays, and they came in and they were very interested in working on that as a problem, as a manifestation of having a troubled body. Nowadays, I would say almost every person I see in therapy says, well, I have this troubled body, but they say it in an en passant way, as though it is not something to be dealt with because it's just something you have to live with. I would say the vast majority are people who have body distress in the form of thinking they're much too big. It doesn't matter what size they are. They could be skinny, they could be medium size, they could be large. And wanting to transform their body both at the level of physical size, and then the second issue, I think, is age. The young ones want to be older, and the women of my age, and let's say into their 40s, all want to be younger looking, as though they should be 20 years younger than they are. So there's an idea of the body as plastic, as amenable to transformation, and as in desperate need of transformation. I think that is a very worrying expression, because it means you're not actually living from your body. You're creating a body that you're looking at from the outside all the time, rather than a body that is the place you live from, you work from, you love from, you have your sorrows from, that you just are in. It is a work all the time. Most of the eating problems that exist are women who don't look like they have an eating problem. We hear all about bulimia, we hear all about anorexia, we hear all about the so-called disease entity of obesity, but that's not really. Anorexia and obesity are the eating problems that show. Most of the people who have eating problems, their problems don't show. So in anorexia, for example, you see the desperate attempt to make out of the body you have something that has no needs, because needs are themselves so damn troublesome. So if you can override that fundamental need of hunger, and create out of yourself a body that appears to be need-free, you can feel that you have something that's really quite admirable, that you can feel okay about, and that you can live with. So it's the construction, if you like, of a false body, a body that repudiates the original body, the body that has needs, that has hungers, that weeps, that hurts, and the creation of a body that is somehow untouchable and unmarked by interaction with another body. That's also a repudiation of need, a repudiation of your body's need. You will eat in advance of something, because to tolerate a need, to tolerate a physical need and also an emotional need is unbearable. And so the body then is dragooned, if you like, into looking after you by providing a kind of attempted soothing, by eating what will, in the short term, provide some kind of pleasure against the distress and upset that the body's feeling. So I think those are two of the extreme manifestations. And in the middle, where you have the compulsive eaters, seems to me you have this idea that the body is not allowed to be still. It can't be just a body that can be responsive to its appetites and can metabolize the food that it has, and that can enjoy experiencing the emotions that it expresses. It is a body that's always on a stop-start, that always needs to be paid attention to, that is not a body with a kind of continuity. So I think when I'm talking about these manifestations of eating problems, they're all different versions of paying attention to the body all the time, and yet being engaged in a version of hating the body and trying to tame it and trying to make it be a different kind of body than the body that might just be, that is just responsive.